guys, how's it going? So today we're working on a little bit of garden cleanup. There are 3 things in particular, 3 that I am sick of looking at. This, all of those, and that, all of that. Let's start with this spot first. We've got a whole bunch of hellebores here. Now hellebores are what you would call a semi-evergreen. If they're more protected, they look a little bit better. If they're more exposed, they look a little bit worse. But we've got a bunch of beautiful, look at that. Look at that. We've got a bunch of fresh growth and blooms coming up in the center of a lot of these plants. So what I want to do today is get all of them cleaned up. We're going to cut all of the spent foliage from last year away, rake around the plants just a little bit, apply some fertilizer, and they should be good to go for this spring. So let's take a close-up look at this one. This is a great example. You can see all of last year's leaves just kind of flopped over. All the new growth, all that beautiful new growth coming right from the center. So we're just going to take our clippers and follow the old leaves back and cut those out. Just like that. We'll finish this one up. And there you have it. That one is done. We just need to continue that with all the rest of them. Then we'll sprinkle a little bit of fertilizer around the base of each plant, scratch it in, and we'll be done with this spot. Shouldn't take too long. I think this is my most established hellebore right here. Huge amount of leaves. Oh, that looks so much better, doesn't it? And this is pre-mulch. We still have yet to mulch this spring. We kind of like to wait until we turn on the irrigation system to see if everything's working properly first, and then we'll mulch over the top of it. But oh, it's just so neat to see all the different varieties coming in. They're kind of hard to spot right now unless you get real close. But you can see all of that beautiful fresh growth. Some of them have longer stalks with blooms on the top. That one looks really good and healthy. Look at that. I did a light raking in this area after I was done cutting them back. I always leave some leaves because they decompose so quickly, especially when you put mulch over the top of them. And then I sprinkled a little rose tone fertilizer around the base of them. Typically I use plant tone or flower tone, but rose tone will work just fine. I knew I had a couple of hydrangeas in this area I wanted to fertilize as well, and it's the fertilizer I'm going to be using the most of today. So this is our next project. Iceberg roses, looking like a complete mess, and I am ready to clean these up. Look at this huge cane coming out onto the grass. I'm pretty sure that some of these roses, some of these icebergs are climbers, not shrub roses, because a couple of them, like especially right along the edge here along the walkway, they grow so enormous, and I think they would keep growing if we had something for them to climb on. In fact, last spring we tried to put an arbor right here, which ended up being way too big for the spot. I just can't bring myself to remove them because they're so pretty, and I love to see these in bloom, the white blooms with the heartleaf in the background. So they get to stay for now. So here's what I do for roses like this. Big old mangy roses. I do a kind of a topping of all of them because that'll remove so much of the shrubby growth and it'll make them a lot easier to access. I usually take them down to right about above my knee, and then I'll go in and just selectively cut some branches out, removing all the old leaves while I'm at it. So this is gonna look way different when I'm done. Hopefully, that's the goal anyway. Okay, so I'm gonna show you more close up on this one because this one is on the edge and it's easiest for me to get to. So first, let's take the top layer off. See how these are just kind of above my knee right here? See how much that initial step takes off? It just cleans up the rows so much. So now what I'm gonna do is remove all of these dead leaves, and while I'm at it, I'm gonna look for any branches that are crisscrossing. We get rid of those, we save one, get rid of the other one. And what the goal is I wanna have each cane of this rose have plenty of air circulation around it, plenty of room for it to grow and kind of spread out. And we kind of want to open up the frameworks to where the center of the rose is kind of open and it's kind of a V shape like that. So like this branch right here, it originates out on this cane, but it's shooting back in toward the middle. So I'm going to just take that one out like that, and that just opens up that space right in there. I take out anything that's broken or weak looking, basically cleaning up the shrub. So let me get close on it and we'll kind of go slower and show you how this one turns out. See how much different that looks and how it looks so much less congested. There's room and air around each one of these canes. Not every rose will end up looking like this because some of these are way more mature. This was kind of a small example to show you. And I did take it down a little bit further in height. Like I made it a little shorter than some of these may end up, but that's basically the steps I take. Once you remove the top portion, it makes the whole project seem a lot more doable. It seems a lot easier to tackle, and then you just start one cane at a time and just tackle one cane at a time until the whole thing is done. So this right here is what was removed from that right there, and that is the goal for the rest of this. Oh my goodness, here we go. And there's the after. Isn't that crazy how different it looks? They look so much happier. Not full of dead leaves. They have room to breathe now. I forgot I had 3 Lady Emma Hamiltons. These are the 3 that were in front of the gazebo that I transplanted last spring, and they did really well, but they needed a major shaping, especially that one. That one was really wild. So we'll see what happens with those, but I think they'll all do really well. I did just a general clean. I'm actually going to come back through this bed, clean the clematis off. I've got some perennials in here, some lamium. There are hardy geraniums kind of tucked in, some salvia in here that I'll slick up a little bit better and do a little bit more of a thorough rake job before we mulch. But I did get the rose tone down around each one of these. So we are good to go there. This bed has always been satisfying to clean out in the spring. And now I have this huge pile of rose canes. I'm gonna go see if Erin will help me dump it. Hugs?
Look, I'm gonna wash your gloves.
Oh, I love you, dude.
I love you. You're all covered in dirt.
I am good. I'm all covered in dirt. What? That's weird.
Because look, your pants, they're all dirty.
They are all dirty. Doesn't that look better?
Yeah, it looks great.
Oh my goodness,
Good job.
satisfying. Okay, this has to ride on my lap.
Helping?
Yes.
Whoops.
Okay, last project of the day are these limelight hydrangeas. These are a panicle hydrangea that bloom on new wood, which means that late winter, early spring is the best time to prune them. You can wait until they start to, like the buds start to swell a little bit more, so you can see really easily where any dead branches may be, or you can make sure to cut them back to a really strong set of buds. But we can always go back through later and do a little bit of minor pruning if we need to. For panicle hydrangeas, you only want to cut them back by about 1/3 of their total height. So for this one here, we probably want to cut it back about that high, and I want to maintain kind of the same shape on the rest of them. You can see how high I cut them back last year. So see that right there, and this is how much new growth they put on. So I'm going to be cutting them back, not quite back to last year's cut, just above it. That way we'll keep a nice sturdy plant. We've got 5 of them here. There are the 3 I originally planted, and then I had since added 2 right here that are much smaller, but hopefully one day they'll catch up. We'll see. Now I don't know if you guys can see this very well, but see about where that conduit runs? Right about where all the blooms are? The house is all stained. I don't know if it's these blooms, but it's the same color as these blooms. So eventually when we get this house painted, I think I'm gonna probably be cutting these back in the winter and not letting them set through the course of the winter, because I don't know what's making that happen, but it just kind of makes sense that, you know, if it's gonna stain right here where all the blooms are kind of touching it, I don't know, kind of seems clear. Okay, so let me show you a cut here. So this is last year's cut. This is the new growth way up here. I'm gonna take it down to about here this year. So you come and find a set of buds. It's usually kind of more of a swollen area, and we're just gonna cut right above it, just like that. So we just cut this much out of the plant. I'm gonna continue to do that on all the rest of them. Hydrangeas are done. They're looking really good. I forgot to mention that I do remove a lot of the weaker stems too. Like, I didn't get all of them, but you can see anything that looks dead, like these little guys right here, and then anything that's just a really weak looking stem, or any weak stems down toward the base, I get rid of those because I don't want the plant sending energy to try to keep those alive. I want the energy to be focusing on these nice branches that are left. And you know, one of the reasons why I chose to put hydrangeas right in front of the house is because of how good they look all season long. There's no deadheading, there's no petal mess, there's once a year pruning and fertilizing, which I almost forgot to do, so I will do that quick before I'm all done up here. But that's it. I mean, they're just such easy plants to take care of. I love it. Especially with the arborescens and paniculata type hydrangeas. They just do really well in the climate here, so long as they have ample water and enough sunshine. And I think that's the other thing. Growing up, I thought hydrangeas couldn't handle our sun, but they really can, so long as they have the right kind of moisture level. And they do need like a minimum of 6 hours in order to perform the best. And I think that's why the ones closer to the stairs will always do better, because they get more sun than the ones that kind of go around the corner for us. Anyway, that is it for today's projects. I'm so happy to have those done. They were the 3 that were kind of screaming at me the most. Every time I would walk through the garden, I would see them and think, oh, I need to just make time to do that. So I'm really happy that they're done. I hope it was helpful just to see how we treat those things in the spring to make them ready for the season. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.